Okay, what is up, everyone? I wanted to give you a little quick breakdown of what goes in my bag. I'm packing. I leave in 2 days for Europe, and so I'm packing, and I've wanted to make this video for a while. I finally gave myself the time. So let's get into it. I think I have everything in front of me, but it seems like not a lot. So we'll see, and maybe I'll have to put some text if I forgot anything. But here's my packing list for the European leg of this series, and kind of this is the biggest packing list that I'm going to have. So let's get into it. So first, thank you Evo Shield, thank you Marco for this bag. I've used it for 2 years. It's a baseball bag. We're always trying to figure out what bags work for downhill traveling because we have a lot. We don't want them to be heavy because we want to bring a lot of weight worth of wheels. Having a roller bag with support so you can roll it around is super crucial. So yeah, Evo Shield baseball bag. The first thing we're going to get is our skateboard. This is my Madrid skateboard that I rode last year, and I'm going to go ride it again this year. I don't take off the trucks because I'm not space limited, I'm weight limited. But I did wrap some rags around the axles just so that they don't get banged up. So I'm going to put this, and this year I'm trying something new in order to prevent the grip tape from scratching everything up. I'm gonna wrap my yoga mat around it like so, and I try to use everything. So these rags, I'm gonna use them. They're gonna be my rags that I keep in my bag for Europe. This yoga mat, I'm going to change on this yoga mat. So everything I'm going to use, it's not here just to protect the boards. I'm going to use it. And then I go in with my toolbox, a toolbox breakdown I did right before this video. So I'm going to put this in the video. Okay, so this is my toolbox. I consider the toolbox kind of the founding thing of the bag. This is going to have everything I need, all the little things, all the tools and all that. I bring this pretty much everywhere, and so I wanted to give an even deeper dive on what I pack in here and not just in my bag. So let's get started on the simpler stuff. So to start, we got some Velcro, mostly for if the board Velcro starts wearing out or if I want to replace anything. And then in this same compartment, I have a super soft, super thin pad, a 1/8 riser, and then a 3-degree and a 7-degree seismic risers. These are going to be the biggest tool when I'm trying to find different turning, like different tracks. I'll mess with the risers first, the angles of my trucks. That's kind of what dictates how my board is going to ride. And then the famous bell, thank you Mikkel, that goes in there. And then I have a spare footstop and bolt and everything. I kind of had this in my bag just in case last year, and in Turkey it sheared off, and so I'm glad I had the extra. I ended up finding the other one, but I was stoked I had it to get me through racing. And then I get my super glue in here. Thank you, Becker. This kind of fits in like that. It'll close. Okay, and then in this compartment I have extra shoelaces. You never know when yours are gonna break, or even if your belt breaks. This is super useful. I've got a little measuring tape. We all know what the measuring tape is there for wheelbases, right? Am I right? Wheelbases. And then more shoelaces. And I put the sphericals. I have spare sphericals just in case mine get loose or get rusted throughout the season. I have extra ones, and I put them in this compartment so that the shoelaces, it's kind of like the softest, so it won't won't get banged up with any of the metal tools or anything. So in this compartment I have nuts. Well, I'll start with this. I have spacers and also different sized axle spacers and a bunch of bearing spacers just in case I lose some, or yeah, mostly so if I lose any. And then I also have fresh hardware of every size, so kingpin, axle hardware, all that John. And then I also have another spare footstop bolt just in case that one breaks like it did last year in Turkey. So I'm glad I had that in reserve. And then in this little compartment, there's like the sleeves, some spare sleeves. And then I also keep a razor blade, a little one. This one mostly for like grip tape, taking off grip tape and stuff. And I also keep like super thin sandpaper. It doesn't take up too much space. And it also is nice if sometimes the axle and the bearing don't like each other and it gets stuck at the end. If that keeps happening, then I like taking a little sandpaper to the axle just to make sure it doesn't happen. And then a bit of bearing lube. And then in this one, this is going to be all my bushings and bushing stuff. So all my spare bushings of every durometer that I use, some extra and some spare ones. And then I also have 2 spare washers. So that lives in there. And then in the big one is kind of the main one. I have all the bearings I'm going to use throughout the season. So the seismic lineup is what I use. So that goes in there. Put that like that. And then I have a ratcheting screwdriver. This is for like all my hardware stuff. I have a normal thing, mostly like punch holes through grip tape or to fiddle with my to get my spherical bearings out of my rogue trucks. And then I have a periscate tool. I love the periscate tool because it actually fits in there. I got 2 Sharpies for marking wheels and general stuff. I have a little toothbrush, broken off toothbrush to clean off trucks in a pinch, a razor blade for grip tape and cutting stuff. That goes in there, that goes in there, that goes in there. I have a spare footstop as well as that one. Well, no, actually, I have this footstop. This is the one I ride, and I like taking it off as with my toe stop because I don't like them bending in the plane or in my bag. So since it's like longer bolts, I keep it in here, and then I just I mount them when I'm in Europe or wherever I'm gonna race. So this kind of, there's a special way to do it. I always forget. There we go. And then this kind of it doesn't stay this tight because I take a bunch of stuff out, but I always have to figure out how to get it in. I had it nicely before I made this video, but I sacrificed my simplicity for you viewers. There we go. And then that closes up all nicely. Kind of, this super glue I feel is going to piss me off. There. And so that's the toolbox. And then so the toolbox goes in there. It fits quite nicely in with all that. And then the skateboard stuff bag in. So this is kind of my day bag. I need to get a new one. It has a big hole in it. But in this, I'm going to put my knee pads. So these are my like open road knee pads, free ride knee pads. And then I'm gonna put my gloves in, seismic race gloves, also featuring these white gloves. So these are the gloves. I'm gonna put the gloves in first. Gloves go in, gloves go in. Knee pad. Try to get them all to fit together, fit in. And this bag, I'm gonna use this bag if I go on like a day trip. So I'll put all my skate stuff in this bag, my toolbox. This is kind of the bag that I always use, but I like compartmentalizing everything so it doesn't get too crazy when everything is in the bag and traveling and everything. And then I have my Becker grip soles. I have just a couple spare sets. I go through them pretty quickly just because I'm skating a lot during Europe, so I like to have a couple spares. And then Uli normally finds me and gives me a couple more in Europe, so this will probably be my first couple sets, but I'll get more throughout the year. And I like to put that at the end so it kind of protects the board and the bag from my board. And then I have this sweet Comité Olympique National Français bag for my skin. So my skins from under my leathers go in here, as well as my knee pads, the ones that I use for under the leathers. So I bring 2 sets of knee pads because I like having ones with hard shell on it for like open road skating. So this is going to go in this. No, I'm not going to put that in this bag. I'm going to put that in this bag. It's also going to kind of protect the trucks because it kind of goes in there with them. And then I have pucks. So all my pucks, so I don't know if you noticed, but in my glove bag, I didn't have the pucks on. So all my pucks are here. I'll put those in here as well. And then kind of the doodads. So I got tennis balls for the warm-up before races. I like warming up my reactions, playing the game. I'm sure if you've skated with me, you've seen me do it or raced with me. And then I have my Avril Pastry Boy skate tool. As my spare skate tool, I have one in the yellow bag, but people are going to steal my tool for sure. So I like to have two. I never like borrowing people's tools. I always like having my own. And then some saddle soap for leathers, kind of get them nice and loose. Duct tape. Duct tape is always useful. It's kind of heavy to bring, so maybe you can also plan on just bringing your own. But I use duct tape for a lot of things, but mainly for organizing my wheels. So kind of duct tape is just get thrown in there wherever it fits. And then you cannot forget the torque block. Since it's pretty sharp grip tape, like I did with my trucks and my board, wrap it up so that it doesn't damage and it doesn't get damaged. So that's gonna slip in right there. That might get loose, so I'm gonna try to put it somewhere else. Would it fit in there? Yeah, it'll fit in there. So I'll put it up there. I won't close that yet. Actually, so my spine protector, I have a vest, but I take the spine protector out when I put it in my leathers. I'm actually gonna put it, it fits pretty nicely between my trucks. I'll put it there and I'll put the toolbox on top of it. And then my shoes, I'm gonna want to put them in here. So I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna try to put those differently. And then yeah, my shoes, kind of the most important thing that I have in here. Shoes I find are one of the most important things in a skater's arsenal. So shoes are gonna go in there. I guess the pucks are just gonna float, which is fine. They won't get damaged. Anything fragile or semi-fragile, I like to put in something somewhere tight so it can't bang around. And then, yeah. And then the game is you want to take your bag scale and you're going to weigh it and you're going to know how much your baggage allowance is. And then you just add wheels until you're at the max. And then you find other places to put your wheels, either in your full face helmet or in your backpacks or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's really not that much. I of course I don't have the wheels in here, but the wheels kind of fit around anywhere they go. But as you can see, I still have tons of space. So of course my clothes aren't in here, all my electronics go in a different bag. But this is really just my skateboarding stuff. And then I try to fill this up with wheels. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As I said, it's not really that much. It's mostly the skateboard, the toolbox. Just get yourself a good toolbox. Get yourself some good shoes. You want to have the skins. You want to have the knee pad. Try to take your foot stop off. It'll reduce the chances of it, like shearing in the plane. But yeah, you have a spare foot stop and all that. That toolbox is really important. And that toolbox has kind of been refined over like 5-ish years of skating and traveling and realizing that I really wish I had shoelaces. I really wish I had some extra spacers or had a spare foot stop. So every time I kind of make note of that and then I make sure to have it in my toolbox. But then yeah, that's kind of sums it up. I don't really need much else. And I want to keep it as minimal as possible so that I can fit as much wheels into the bag and keep it underweight. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll see how heavy I can go. I need to check that, so I'm going to do that.